Get us into start second part 2, 11 September. By going back to this article, so this is Fred Moten and Stefano Hani. And as I said, Stefano Hani is now a teacher of our school, but he cannot come here because of COVID. But who knows? I'm hoping that next term you will see him. I don't know if you've ever seen the film. I shouldn't be recording this. One very quickly with some passion.
The only possible relationship to the university today is a criminal one. To the university are still, and there are still, to borrow from this school at the end of Henry
Fifth, yeah.
As he would surely borrow from us, this is the only possible relationship to the American university today. This may be true of university anywhere. It may have to be true of the university in general, but in certainly this much is true in the United States. It cannot be denied that university is a place of refuge, and it cannot be accepted that the university is a place of enlightenment. In the face of these conditions, one can only sneak into the university and steal that what one can, to abuse its hospitality, to spite its mission, to try its figure colony, its gypsy encampment, to be in but not of. That is the path of the subversive intellectual in the modern university.
Right, very good. Okay, so I want to work through this a little bit. All right. To the university I'll steal, and there I'll steal. I think we talked about this already. The difference between steal, as in sneaking in, like a cat crawling up on its prey, steal, and steal, take something. Now they are very closely related. But you steal into the university, which means you come here almost under false pretenses. The university should be open to everyone, but it's not. It's just a small class fraction can come to the #1 university in Vietnam, right? Need to pay, need to have good schooling, need to have good marks. So anyone else will have to sneak in, steal in. Okay, in fact, anyone who doesn't want to buy the idea of the university as the place of enlightenment, if you don't believe in that tradition, you're somehow here under false pretense, under sneaking in to get what you can. They are saying this to provoke you. They're not really saying the university, they are saying that. And I think they do believe it, but they are also hoping the university is not something like a place you just go and steal stuff, a desk. More like the way in which what the university can present you, its knowledge, its information, is one thing, but to really get knowledge, to get learning, you'll have to steal some of that. It's giving you information, but what you want is something different. You want to get from the university the resources that it has, but not on the terms that it's given, somehow. So that's why you are abusing its hospitality. Now the thing is with these thinkers, Moten and Hani, they are using code words in a way that behind them is a whole big debate. Like, so the word hospitality, I think they mean, in reference to the work of Jacques Derrida, his book of hospitality. Of course, that goes back to Immanuel Kant and the tradition of thinking about the university, the conflict of the faculties. Immanuel Kant also gives us concepts like hospitality and go back to Voltaire and debates about tolerance and so on. Hospitality is it's what you provide when you invite someone in. You provide hospitality, right? Not hospital like medicine, not like that, but it's not unrelated to that. But what happens when the university or the hospital or a house becomes commercialized? Hospitality is turned into a part of branding, a part of the commercial operation. Right? Come to our place because, or come to Vietnam because the people are so friendly. But now people are friendly, but that friendliness is being turned into a marketing tool, a marketing category, right? Or come to Malaysia. The workers are so good at basket weaving or microchip production. Or come to Indonesia. The women always have a smile as they sew your shoes for Nike corporate. Oh, that's in Vietnam too. Yeah? These cultural characteristics of hospitality, welcoming, or gifts and so on are being turned into something that's different to hospitality. In fact, the idea of hospitality in Derrida, it kind of says it can't exist. Or the rule. Right? If you want to say, you will show hospitality, right, you will show hospitality, that won't be hospitality because you're ordered to do it. If you're ordered to do it, it's not hospitality. It's not friendliness, it's friendliness. What's the difference between actually being a friend and showing that you're friendly? Right? That's what you can't be ordered to be a friend. Well, on Facebook, of course you can. You can pay people to be your friends. Right? That's the contradiction we are right in at the moment. That hospitality, the idea of being a hospitable place, a place that it's really nice to go to, cannot be legislated. It cannot be a rule because once it's a rule, it's not hospitality. It's marketing. So in a way, if the university is this place that should be welcoming to ideas, that will be great. But now that it's about regulating those ideas and putting them in centers and requiring you to go through the steps of graduation, of examination and assessment and ticking off the achievements you've made in a list, that's no longer welcoming to ideas, that's regulating ideas. So it's not enlightenment. The idea of the university as enlightened probably never existed. But it's much harder for it to exist now because of commercialization. Enlightened would mean light from the whole world will shine from here. In fact, you can read exactly that slogan on the front of the building over there, can't you? It's the slogan of the university. They are saying we can't believe in that anymore. They are saying that to provoke you. It should provoke us. It should make you think, do you agree with that? Are they perhaps too cynical? Talking about stealing. Remember, this is the American university today. Is that the way we are going? Are we copying the American university model? Are we doing it with our eyes wide open? Hope so. What else? It cannot be denied that the university is a place of refuge. What is refuge? Refuge comes back to the church, actually. The old idea that if you are being persecuted, the government is hunting for you or something in the old days, and you got into a church, that church was sacred ground and the government could not arrest you. You would get protection, you would get refuge, sanctuary. That's what they call it. Whether it be a Buddhist temple or a Christian church, the inner area is called a sanctuary, and they call it that because you could go to that place and the army should not be able to go and drag you out. You should be protected. Sure, once you leave, they can arrest you. But that's what the idea of refuge is. A refuge is a place you can hide, can get protection, can be secure from the outside world. So is the university a place like that? Still, a bit, sure. Someone who is interested in ideas, someone who just wants to read books, if they've got some money and able to get that time somehow, can stay in the university and they can read whatever they like. Within reason. Of course, not everyone can read whatever they like. Our library has one floor of books that are not in the general circulation. Right? But by and large, the university is a place where even someone like me can be. Joking a bit, but it will allow you to sit for 3 years and just 4 years and just read Marx if you want. No company will let you do that. Of course, yeah, you're paying for it. You're not being, whereas the company would be paying you. So it's a refugee colony. It's a gypsy encampment. It's a kind of weird thing. It's possible to do the madness that is being a student. But in the end, you're going to have to be an adult. Right? So it's a temporary camp. But the subversive intellectual in the modern university has to seek out those people, to join with the others who are refuge. So can someone else, can we go to the second row? Can you read?
Worry about the university did it injunction today in the United States. One with a long history, called for the restoration, right? Hollywood, Stanford, French rap, called for the reform like the rap hawk, appeal readings on the carry nation. Call out to it's called to you. Put for the survivors interest to and up the girl on the upstar in the is black community among the rational one after on the subversive intellectual come under further retains respect the common of out of club her apply necessary as is welcome. The university needs worship need worship here, but cannot hear what the sheep cry. And on top of that, she disappear into the underground. The download blow down
Download
Maroon community of the university into the undercommon of the enlightenment. Không thấy chữ. Where the world gets down, where world gets subversed, where the revolution no copy.
Okay, yeah, where the revolution is still black, still strong. I didn't realize this text is so difficult in how it's starting. I apologize for that, but we can work through it. Worry about the university. They are telling us this has been going on for a long time, and they give us a few references. Okay, call for its restoration, like Harold Bloom. Harold Bloom he died a few years back. He was the #1 right-wing or conservative, but civilization level, very sophisticated scholar of literature and so on. And he wanted to go back to the old values of the American university from the 1920s, 1930s, right? Conservative. Let's not do this modern stuff, postmodernism and literature made by ethnic people and so on. Let's go back to reading the classics, Shakespeare, Bronte, Cervantes or something, if we have to read something that's not English. So Bloom, they're saying, right, Bloom, Stanley Fish or Gerald Graff, or those who call for it to be transformed, reformed, like Derek Bock or Bill Reddings. Bill Reddings wrote a book called The University in Ruins. And he wanted to say that the old structure is fallen down, we need to rebuild in a different, new way. Carrie Nelson, right? There is a debate, they are saying, there is a debate about what is the university, worry about the university. It's been going on, discussion about what should the university be. And as you come into the university, say hi to that, call out to it as it calls out to you. Hi, John. Yes, you want to talk about the university in your class? Okay, hi, we'll listen to you a bit. But really what you're doing, that discussion goes on upstairs in the big office. There's the serious, rational men and women who are the professors talking about what is education. Students aren't involved in that discussion. Not really. They are discussed. But which student is talking to Harold Bloom or to Stanley Fish or Bill Reddings or even having their voice heard in this discussion? None. So we call out to it, it calls to you, but for the subversive intellectual, this is a polite discussion and not really challenging. After all, the subversive intellectual has come under false pretenses. They're not coming to participate in that nice, polite discussion. They're coming to get what they can and go off and do something more radical. She has come with her papers in order, but maybe a bit false documents, or at least she's come not pretending just to be what is on the card. To be much more interesting than that student ID that means that you are a good, careful studier or whatever. She comes out of love of knowledge, not love of coming to university to get a job so she'll have a career. Doesn't care about that. Just cares about to improve, to find out things that are fantastic and amazing and curious and interesting, or out of love for literature, not to become an expert in literature, but to really understand and know and enjoy and be enthusiastic about. That's love for knowledge. Love for knowledge, not competence at information. Is the two kind of the simple distinction they are making. And the subversive intellectual, she has what the university needs. It can't survive without this enthusiasm for knowledge. but it wants to turn it into rational, ordered discourse, heading towards a career and a job. Oh yes, it's very good to be interested in literature. That will give you some good skills for decision making later when you have to work for the company. So forget about literature, basically they're saying, or take from literature only that which makes you able to make some profit for the corporation when you're finally there doing branding work or whatever work you're doing. No, so the subversive intellectual comes in with a love of reading or of ideas or something in order to do something else. Something where in the undercommons of enlightenment, work is going on and her work might be exploited, but really she is for the revolution is still on with her. Still black, still strong. The way of revolution, Long Kak Men, is still an issue. So she disappears because the more and more she realizes that this love of reading is going to be turned into enthusiasm for order and routine. She modifies, she just hides that to button up and look like a good student. But really, still has this other interest, maybe. Okay, we can do a bit more. We won't do much. Somebody else who wants to volunteer. Can you? It's just for the recording, so others can hear.
What is that first and what is social capacity for producing the university and producing futurity. If one were to say teaching on would be performing the work of the university, teaching is merely a profession and an operation of the onto encyclopedia. Yeah, so-called of the state that chocolate trusted that con the university but it is useful to involve this operation to claim the whole in the fence where labor interest to claim its hiring hall is 9 quarter. The university needs to train labor despite itself and at itself in this
Self-identical with, and thereby erased by it. All right, we'll just keep that end of that sentence. So here, what is the work and what is the social capacity for both reproducing the university and producing fugitivity? Right, so reproducing the university is that knowledge structure and so on, and reproducing fugitivity is keeping that person who loves literature or knowledge or social science or Bataille or someone alive. Is it teaching? They ask. Well, no, teaching is a profession. It's a job in this. You know, it's part of the reproduction cycle. We teach and train. It's part of the onto-auto encyclopedic circle of the state. What is the onto-auto? The being. Ontological is this question of being, from being and time. Ontology is what is it that exists? And teaching is what makes the university exist. It's a job that makes this process exist. It isn't that love of learning. It's the way the love of learning turns into vocation, training, job creation, or research. But it's an auto encyclopedia because it's encyclopedia because all knowledge can be in there, but it's in the circle of the state. It's all knowledge controlled by a state formation. The French government regulates teaching. The English government, the American government. Okay, this is what he called università, the idea of a universal university as the place where all knowledge is. That's breaking. That's breaking. Now, it's useful, they said, but it is useful to invoke this operation of teaching so that you can glimpse, so you can see that there's a problem. And where's the problem? How do you best see this problem? First, by really looking at what is going on. What is going on with teaching? I've been trying to say this to you for a while. What do we have in the university? Teachers and students. But what is the labor that goes on to make that possible? Somebody has reproduced you, your parents, like literally did labor to give birth to you and then taught you to wipe your noses and your bums and to speak and to write, and to school did that as well, but yeah, mostly. And there was a lot of labor, and then they got you here today, and you came by all sorts of labor. Taxis and motorcycles were built and whatever, and the labor for building the classroom, the desk. Somebody had to make this desk like this. Somebody thought to put this funny indentation here that you don't use anymore for your pen. We used to have a hole in desk. When I started, they had a hole as well where you put your bottle of ink because it was a fountain pen. And sometimes you buy desks like that now for extra money because it's nostalgia. Okay, but somebody built the desk, somebody built the room, somebody paid for the electric, somebody did the cleaning. There's a woman that comes in, I always speak to her after the class. She's a cleaner, she cleans the board for me. These are the people in the assessment I want you to talk to interview those who are cleaning the hiring hall or looking after the night quarters. The key tuksa staff there. Without them, without accommodation for students, without people looking after the grounds, gardeners, no university. Without somebody building desks, without somebody sweeping floors, without somebody wiring the aircon or the electric or even the digital projector, no university. So we can start to see how the university is built on exploitation of labor. Not just your labor and not just my labor. That's what we talk about. We think the university is teaching and studying. But that's a part. For sure, it's the focus. And the research center is another focus. But so many other workers are a part of this community. And if we study them, we get a very different idea, a more critical assessment of what is the university. So I think that's what they're asking us to focus on. Sure, the university needs teaching labor. It needs to employ people to teach, but it needs to employ all those other people as well. It needs to have paid so many different wages and salaries, which it wants to push down as low as possible. Of course, it gets cheap cleaners and so on. Although to work at Tonduktang is probably better than at some others. Sure. This desk is an imposter. This one doesn't have a... Some of them don't have it. Why? Ask those questions. Why is it that some parts of these, I mean, I'm guessing these ones are older ones, right? You think they are older and these are newer? The wood looks cheaper, the corners are not done as nicely. Why did they feel like they had to make these and not introduce the new ones that you see in the other? Okay, so there's all this labor that's going on besides teaching labor. And the university needs it, but despite itself, despite being critical and about knowledge, it forgets so many things. It forgets and erases the labor of all the others. All right, so they focus a lot here then on teaching. And we'll skip over this a little bit. but they basically say the experience of being taught and teaching you is central, but they point out that even that job, teaching, is one that's involved a lot of labor. What is the labor? How many of you would like to be university teachers when you grow up? Any? Oh, really? No one? Anyone want a job as a professor? Want to be a professor one day? Anyone? No. No? You want to be a professor, don't you? No, not in your life. No, it's a good job. Yeah, it's quite fun. You want to be a professor?
No.
Easy to do. Easy peasy. Be a professor, very easy, I tell you. Okay, you start, you do 12 years of school, right? Good. Passed. Come to university. 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Undergraduate. Good. Pass. Did not plagiarize. Did not have to repeat course. Passed in 4 years. Congratulations. MA. 2 years. Good. Pass. Had some money from, I don't know, selling drug or something. Didn't have to go and get a job. Went to PhD. Minimum 4 years for a PhD. If you're like me, 8 years. Tam nam to do my PhD, right? For doctorate. 4 years is minimum. To do something really good, you need 8 years. But let's keep it at 4, 10. Then get a job called postdoc. Postdoc at TDTU is a very good post. It's like a training to be a professor, but in some places, they're very low. But 1 or 2 years. Lecturer. Finally, you get a job as lecturer. Very good. Welcome, Dr. Hutnik, your first lecture. You have to do 6 courses every term. Actually, now I'm doing 5. But when I started 6, well, that was a lot. Every term. I mean, you had no time, no weekends, nothing. You have 6 new courses, doing new stuff every year. And you do this for so many years. You must produce a book every year. 1 book in this first year, 1 book in this year, 1 book in this year, all 4 articles. Then, senior lecturer. Now your salary is quite good. Maybe Muilam Chu 1 month. You will be senior lecturer 2, 3 years. And if you have got books still coming out and research grant, then professor. Apprenticeship of 20 years on top of 12. So you can be at 33? Impossible. Never before 45. So in here, some people stay more years. Some people stay more years at this level. Some people stay more years, many more years. 8 years is pretty normal at this level. And until here, about your salary is not enough to live, buy a house or anything like that, usually. In Vietnam, a bit different. You can already start to get enough money to at least, if you have some deposit, get a house. But how many of you want to be professors now? Easy, huh? Doesn't take long? Yes, okay. But to become chairman of the board or anything else, it takes time, okay? Not only. So they talk, Moten and Hani, they talk about teaching for food. The idea here is the university wants you to teach for food, like basic level payment, and you say, thank you, it's a great opportunity for me. I will teach for $5 an hour or whatever small amount it is. Okay? But this minority of those who are teaching, and the idea that you would ever pass that stage and not still teach for food, like teach out of love, is erased in this process. To not realize this is a vocation, not in the sense of a job, getting a job, but a vocation in the sense of a belief and a passion. To have a vocation is again a religious word, like a calling. To have a vocation, to be vocational, vocational studies means studies oriented towards a job, means the opposite of the vocation where you have a call, you must teach. Not you want to teach, you feel like you must. That means a vocation in that religious sense. You are called to God or to whatever. That's a vocation in the church. So if you are called to teaching, you cannot not do it, despite how long it takes. But vocational studies, the university talks about vocational degrees. That's a degree like medicine, lawyer, or something leading to a specific job. Vocational degree. That's not vocation. It's part of the ideology. So they talk about this. They talk about this a lot. Okay, let's go a little bit more. Somebody from here? We haven't had any boys yet.
In that the common of the university, one can see that it is not a matter of teaching versus research or even the beyond of teaching versus the individualizations of research. To enter this space is to inhabit the ruptural and rapture disclosure of the common that's fugitive enlightenment is not the primal matricidal in the system on the strong of the stolen lie, the lie stolen by enlightenment and stolen fact, where the common gift refers, where the refers gift common. What the beyond of teaching is really about is not fixing oneself, not passing, not completing. It's about applying subjectivity to the fully overcome by order, a radical passion and passivity, such that one become unfit for subjection because one does not possess the kind of urgency that can help the regulatory force of subject, and one cannot institute the auto interpolative talk that beyond power, subtractions required and reward.
Okay. We just check what the prophecy that hits its organization, therefore passes common and proximity. All right, let's stick to here. So yeah, very difficult still. In that undercommons of the university, right? So where the person with passion finds some friends, the gypsy encampment, the refuge, where they find some other people who are also a bit frustrated with the system of the university, but still want to be there and get something out of it. There, it's not that they are for teaching and against the research center. It's not that distinction. And they're not for the system of it's not just a battle, an argument between the system of teaching and some individual program that's more relevant to them personally. That's not the issue. Is you enter into a space where this system that is in the brochure of the university or in the rules and regulations or in the mission is disrupted, is ruptured, which means broken, and enraptured, which means fascinated and exciting, because in the cracks where the criminal, the matricidal, kill your mother, right? Queer in the cistern, I think that's a joke. I think they mean like in the toilet. Like what happens in the toilet in the university? You have illicit activity. I mean, it's not just the bathroom, right? They mean something else. They mean where dodgy deals are done, where you get the answers for the exam. Hey, buy it. Or you get some drug, or you get some sex, or something. And this is on the stroll of a stolen life, a life stolen by enlightenment and stolen back. So life, as we have it, it could be community and village and romantic and so on, has been destroyed by urbanization and so on. And to get back that, live passionately. This is why the commons, being together with others, gives a refuge. If you find other people who also think a bit like this, they are saying, you can live. And you don't have to then be about finishing, completing, passing, getting good grades. The things that give you rewards in the system, oh, you've been a good student, pat on the head, 9.0 score, are not real rewards. They are not really true markers of your intelligence. They are markers of your skill at passing exams. And skill at passing exams, I will not say it's not unimportant, but skill at passing exams does not make you a fully round human being. Being with others and having a shared project, that does. In America, I think their problem is that idea of being part of a community no longer is approved by their class system, their state. So most people can't join. So it's not about completing. What it's about is allowing yourself to be overcome by participating with others who have radical passion. So you don't become passive. You become unfit for conformity. That's a skill. To develop the skill of not fitting into what is expected, to go beyond that. So now they talk about regulatory forces and auto-interpolative talk. Well, that's just to confuse you. Interpolative is a phrase from the communist theorist, French Communist Party thinker Louis Althusser. Interpolation is a whole theory about the university, about school. That school, university, is a ideological state apparatus, ISA, and that interpolates you, folds you into the society as a good citizen. And its effect can be regimenting, can be restrictive, can turn people just into automatonic citizen. So that's why it's auto-interpolative talk. The talk is acceleration. As you go through your education, your interpolation into society becomes more and more accelerated, more and more pressured. Not much stress when you're in primary school, a bit more stress to pass exams in high school, a lot more stress in university to pass exams, and then the bigger exams and the bigger markers, by which time you need to be interpolated into the system, otherwise you need to find refuge in others. That's what they're arguing, I think. And that's my interpretation of this. Hard to do, but really impressive. If you go to the interview at the end of the book, you find a lot of this becomes a bit clearer. Now, they also refer here, this one. We got time for this one? When do we have to stop? Oh, 3 minutes. Not really. We're supposed to stop at 11:45, right? Okay. I'll leave it for you to read more, but you can look things up. Frederick Jameson, he's worth looking up. He's a thinker, Marxist, wrote about capital, but he wrote about postmodernism, wrote about Bertolt Brecht, and so on. He reminds us the university depends upon Enlightenment type critiques. So like the critique of that system belongs to that system. That's what they meant earlier on about how this is the discussion of rational men. Say hello to that. Know it, learn it. But don't be seduced by that talk. Do something else, do something more creative. Okay, we'll stop. Next week, the reading for next week is Gayatri Spivak, her essay on how to teach a culturally different book. It's from her book, Aesthetic Theory, 2012. It's also hard, but especially the second part of that essay. If you find the first part of that essay too hard, go to the second part. Because the second part is really important and good. And we'll look more at Gayatri Spivak, but next week especially, I want to do what we need to do for the midterm assessment. And I said this will be in groups, right? We can do the groups on the day. Yeah, you don't need to do it now, but it can be maybe 2 people, since you seem to be in 2s or 3s, right? We'll stick it to that, and it's going to be on paper, and that will be the midterm. Like, be here so that you can submit. If you're not here, those people who are not here will have to do it online. I'm going to bring pencils and paper, and it should be just drawing fun. Not drawing, but words, but it can be, you can do drawing as well. We'll see. Anyway, I explain all that. Okay, but thank you very much for those today who did the reading and submitted. I still see of the 47 people for this class, something like only 23 submitted the reading report. So many are not. If it's not you, still do it. Even if I don't read them all, I want to be able to go back and check them later. But right now, everyone that's submitted up until 9 a.m. this morning, I have replied to. Thank you. Some of them were great, really great. I don't know who that was. Some of them haven't been done. That's not so good. Thank you very much. See you. And we're done again. That's. Thank you very much. Okay. Next week, you should turn up. Thanks.